Hello, my name is Noah Rafa, and I will be going over the assessments I gave to a student during my observation hours. Her name was Tamara, and she was a delight. The first assessment I gave her was the Wiley-Belvis Belvin's Phonological Awareness Assessment. As you can see, I have the data presented in a chart, and overall, she did very well. Her biggest problems had to do with rhyming. As I noted, this was the only time throughout the assessment that she was visibly anxious, and no other time did she need me to repeat the words as much as she did during this assessment. She honestly did try her best. Oh, I do have to note, I did this assessments all online. She was at her home, and I was at my home. We were just connected through the classroom Zoom meeting. Or, no, it was a Google Docs meeting. I also noted that she had some problems segmenting words. This does come up more throughout the other assessments. It is something that she does have to work on a little bit. And everything else, she got 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 6. She may not have mastered it, but she was very close. And honestly, these ones, I would give it that she might have just misheard me. The quality of sound isn't the best, especially I don't understand how, but the school system that they used, it was just harder to hear me than normal chats I've had. Okay, second one, Choraphonics. Again, I have the data displayed in a chart. She did very, very good with letter names and sounds. The only one she missed was, I have it directly. I have all my paperwork that I printed out right here on the side. The only part that she missed was the long vowel letter of O. Otherwise, she did fantastic. And then even in reading and decoding, she did very, very well. Obviously, everyone, she missed a couple, and as it went on, as it got harder, of course, she did not do as well. I am so sorry, I just realized she is in first grade. I don't believe I said that at the beginning of this video. I apologize. But yes, she is in first grade, and she's honestly one of the brighter students I've seen in first grade too. The previous assessment and this assessment, she might not have gotten a perfect score, but she knew the assessments. She had taken them already. She knew how they worked. She was explaining to me almost how the assessments worked, even though she didn't fully understand it. That actually did happen with most of the assessments. Now, where she did start struggling was multi-syllable words. That was kind of, yeah. And checking on the paper, I noted that she actually hasn't gone over those yet. Right afterwards, she told me, she's like, wow, we have not done any of those bigger words yet. She's seen them talked about, but she's never had to spell them out or say them fully herself before like that. So I can't fault her for not knowing something she hasn't been taught yet. And on to the next assessment. The third assessment I did with her was the core fluency assessment. Overall, this was probably her best assessment. As you can see from the data and from how I put it, the median words read per minute is 71 words read correctly, and this puts the student at the 85th percentile. This means Tamara scored the same or better as 85% of first grade students. And I have to say, that's really good. I am so proud of her. on the chart, first graders is scored a little bit differently. It seems to be just sort of to put them all together, also understanding that they are at the very beginning. But otherwise, she was very on it. She read the words. If she made a mistake, she went back and fixed her mistake verbally. And as the professor said, that still counts. She did that a decent amount, but she understood most of the times when she did make a mistake. All right. The next assessment, the fourth one, is the qualitative spelling inventory. Here's all of her scores. She did good at the beginning, and as it went on and on, it got harder, and she scored last. That is also very understandable for her grade, for where she's at right now. She ended up being a late letter name alphabetic. She's at the late letter name alphabetic stage. Also, the assessment I gave her was the elementary spelling inventory assessment, because she is in the elementary school, first grade, of course. The other ones would have been definitely too hard for her at this point still. Now, if she scored at max or almost max points, then I probably would have moved her up to the next one. All right, and the last one the last assessment I gave her was the writing assessment synthesis. This one I actually put up her the warm-up we did together. Well, she drew. I just helped her brainstorm. We first started by asking her, have you been places? Have you gone anywhere? She was like, no, not too far. Don't believe that she's even left Las Vegas at all. But then I asked her, hey, have you just been to the park? And then her face lit up, and she was like, yes, I have. I asked her to think of a couple stories she could tell me. Told me about this one time that she went to the park with the slide. I said, good. Hey, do you want to write these ideas down? She asked me if she could draw them, and I said yes. After that, I said, hey, have you got the ideas? You were swinging. She told me she was swinging, sliding, and she said yes. So she made the picture. Now, I will admit, I don't see any swings in there, but she did still write about swings. But the one thing she did talk about was the slide, which you can see right here. This is the kind of jungle gym, and then these are the slides coming out. I am honestly amazed at this, only for the fact that I never could draw, and she drew this in just a couple of minutes very quickly, right before we started our writing together, because I also wrote about a time that I went to the park too, explained it to her after. The prompt that I used was a time you felt happy, which brought her to the swing, which brought her to the park, thinking of it. She did about average. She was able to bring up at least 2 events as the Nevada Native Writing Standards asked for. So she didn't go she didn't go super into detail, but she brought up 2 events. She put them in sequence order. But one of the biggest problems is that she didn't have an ending. She just sort of cut off. So overall, she did about average, maybe just a little bit below. But otherwise, I believe overall she did really well. Thank you very much. You have a very good day. That was your last assessment. Thank you.